Ria TV, True FM.
Say Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
into True FM 96.1.
what's the meaning of the black barrier?
The black barrier is to tell Joseph Bakala if you don't organize yourself in a grateful manner, we will keep your plate.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
A pleasant good evening from the news center here at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. A pleasant good evening. Welcome to News Desk 45 minutes of news from Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. The top stories we are following tonight. In a landmark ruling, Supreme Court recognizes Councillor Fonate Kopa as legitimate Speaker of the House of Representatives, but majority bloc rejects the court's judgment as violation of the separation of power. With 314 polling places out of 736, Representative Samakoga takes a slight lead with just 128 difference in a tight race with Edith Gonglowe as NEC releases second provisional results. Liberia joins race to host headquarters of West Africa Health Organization WAHO as Foreign Ministry discloses arrival of technical delegation this Thursday. And out of Liberia, the opposition in Ghana condemns the suspension of the country's Chief Justice as abuse of power. The details of these developments, including the news bulletin, voices of the newsmakers, sports, are all packaged in this edition of News. We're taking a short break to be back.
Ria TV, True FM.
Say Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
into True FM 96.1.
Bulletin of news with Naketa Roberts.
The Supreme Court has granted the bill of information filed by Mbato House Speaker Fonate Kopa, recognizing him as the legitimate Speaker of the House of Representatives, rendering the majority bloc sitting illegal. The court on Wednesday ruled that despite Councillor Kopa as the sitting Speaker, lacking the numbers to conduct business, that does not gives the deputy speaker or any representative the right to preside over the section. The Supreme Court, according to RCR judicial correspondent, mandated the majority bloc to operate in accordance with its interpretations of Article 33 and 49 of the 1986 Constitution. But in a dissenting opinion, Associate Justice Yami Wese disagreed with his colleagues, citing several mishaps on his colleagues' opinion. Justice Wese stressed that the controversy in the House of Representatives is more of a political matter and that the Supreme Court cannot intervene by setting the procedure of the House, which could amount to a violation of the Constitution of separation of powers of the three branches under Article 3. He said the House had held itself in a power struggle motivated by politics, which the Supreme Court should be cautioned of and not intervene in the conflict, rather to state what the law is and not to engage in political disputes as it is in this instant case. Justice Wese said, though an impasse exists in the House for which they are divided, but still have the right to sit in spite of the Supreme Court decision on December 6, 2024, as earlier indicated in the opinion that the Supreme Court has no authority whatsoever to stop any branch of government from performing its constitutional duties. On the issue of the budget, Justice Wese said it will be an inconsistent position to benefit from the budget of 2025 by receiving salaries and seek to challenge its legality, which brings to mind that the Liberian judiciary is receiving salaries, benefits, and operational expenses, which his colleagues declare illegal and noted that doing so is contradicting. For his part, Mbato, House Speaker Fonati Kofa, has accepted the Supreme Court ruling in a stalemate at the House of Representatives. Speaking in a press conference on Wednesday, minutes after the Supreme Court's grant his bill of information, rendering the decision of the majority bloc illegal, Speaker Kofa called on members of the majority bloc to join them in ending the stalemate at the legislature. Speaker Kofa promised to reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fala and Representative Richard Cohn to establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee, citing that he is willing to make the necessary sacrifices to move the country forward. Speaker Kofa appreciated his colleagues and Liberians for standing by him through his struggle for justice over the past month, terming the ruling as a huge step in the country's democracy. On the contrary, the majority bloc of the House of Representatives has rejected the Supreme Court's ruling that declared Councillor Fonati Kofa as the Speaker of the House, insisting that Richard Cohn remains the legitimate Speaker of the House. In a statement issued hours after the Supreme Court's ruling, a statement signed by Majority Bloc Speaker Richard Cohn said the court's judgment was an atrocious and audacious violation of the separation of power doctrine. The majority bloc maintained that Speaker Kofa was removed by a resolution signed by 50 lawmakers above the required two-thirds, which is 49. The House maintained that Kofa's removal was due to corruption, conflicts of interest, and mismanagement, and followed due process as outlined in 2007 ruling of the Supreme Court in the case of Snow versus the House of Representatives. The majority members, according to the statement, will not recognize Kofa and will continue legislative business uninterrupted, stating that under no circumstances shall plenary allow Kofa to preside. The statement calls Majority Speaker Richard Cohn as saying they are reviewing legal and political options to defend his authority. Liberia is bidding to host the headquarters of the West Africa Health Organization, WAU. WAU is the health organization of the ECOWAS, that's the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, tasked to improve health programs across the West African region. Burkina Faso, the current host of WAU headquarters, is one of the three countries, including Niger and Mali, withdrawing from ECOWAS, thus prompting the need to relocate. Liberia is competing with Ghana, Benin, and Senegal to be the next host of the WAU headquarters, according to reports from Accra, Ghana. According to the Foreign Ministry, Liberia stands to benefit $1 million budget support as host of WAU headquarters if it wins the bid. Meanwhile, Liberian authorities headed by Foreign Minister Sarah Besto Yanti are at the ongoing Extraordinary Section Council of Ministries in Accra, Ghana, are advancing talks with Ghana and Senegal to pull out of the race. At the same time, a high-level ECOWAS technical assessment team is due to arrive in Liberia this Thursday to assess the country's ability and propose facility for the headquarters of the West Africa Health Organization, WAHU. The ECOWAS delegation is headed by Sidou Kasori Bongora, Director of Administration and General Services. Not only is the ECOWAS delegation coming to inspect the proposed WAU headquarters facility, it is also due to assess Liberia's offer to host the ECOWAS Youth and Sports Development Center. The team is expected to carry on the assessment for 4 days beginning April 24th to April 27, 2025, according to a dispatch from Accra. Official notes sent from ECOWAS to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is quoted as saying the objective of the mission is to assess the proposed premises and other agreements, that's arrangements for the hosting of the ECOWAS institutions. Ahead of final results from the National Election Commission, the campaign team of Ide Gongowed is claiming commanding lead in Nimba senatorial by-election, according to the team. Preliminary results and data collected from various polling places indicate a strong lead for their candidate. Campaign chairman Emmanuel Yato told a press conference on Wednesday that approximately 85% of the tallied results placed Madam Gongaway in a commanding position to win the election. He claims her victory is backed by data expressing confidence in the outcome of Tuesday's election. Meanwhile, Gongaway has warned her supporters against premature celebration. The lone female candidate in Nimba raised to her supporters that while it is true their preliminary numbers are good, it is election and until all numbers are in, they should reserve their celebration. Meanwhile, one of the independent candidates in the Nimba by-election has accepted that he has lost the election. Matonike Tingwe said, based on the data emerging, his situation runs from credible reports across the 9th district in Nimba County, declared that candidate Samuel Koga holds a commanding legal lead. That's a commanding lead. Matonike Tingwe said, such significant lead position Koga as the winner of the Nimba County senatorial by-election. In a statement posted on his official Facebook page, the former Nimba County District 9 representative urged his fellow candidates to accept the result in good faith and join hands in fostering unity and progress for the benefit of Nimba County. Matonike Thingwe thanked the people of Nimba for the manner in which they conducted themselves during the election. Representative Samuel Koga has taken a slight lead in the Nimba County by-election after the second preliminary results released last Wednesday. The National Election Commission said the results covered 314 polling places of the total of 736, constituting 42.66%. National Election Commission Chairperson David Etta Brown-Lassana disclosed that of the results released so far, independent candidate Edith Gongaway has obtained 22,460 votes, constituting 46.80%, while Samuel Koga of the MDR has 22,588 votes, accounting for 44.05%, showing a vote difference of 128 in favor of Koga. She spoke late Wednesday when she released the second batch of provisional results. A notorious land dealer in Carisboro, Moserado County, Ralph Pay, has denied his involvement in the recent shooting of LMP Chief Inspector Sam Walker in the New Island community in Painesville. It can be recalled Ralph Pay and several others were declared persons of interest by the Liberia National Police over an alleged attack on the Chief Inspector of Police Sam Walker, which that sustained while responding to a land dispute in Carisboro. Responding to the police action on Wednesday in Carisboro, Pay refuted his involvement, stating that he was not present during the incident. He raised concerns over the contradiction in the LMP release, where his picture was posted as a person of interest without his name being mentioned. According to him, before the posting of the police notice, he did not receive an invitation or citation. Ralph Bay, who is the administrator of the James Verticoli and Cowboy Estate in both Moserado and Margibi, respectively, meanwhile assured his willingness to justify his innocence before the LMP in the soonest time possible after consultation with his lawyer. A Liberian theocrat has described attempts to exclude Christian clerics from the body politics of Liberia as a national mistake. Expressing frustration over the act, the flag bearer of the Democratic People Party of Liberia, David Kimon, said denying clergymen from ascending to the Liberian presidency has led the country into a downward trend. According to David Kimon, Liberia, on an autocratic leadership headed by the late President William R. Torgbean, became a nation of democratic icon and caused many African countries to muster the courage for renewed vigor in the achievement of democracy and good governance. He urged that the father of Christianity, Jesus Christ, was a politician, and as such, it is not a transgression for Christian clerics to participate in the body politics of Liberia. Reverend Kimo noted that Liberia can regain its place as a nation that believes in the rule of law when the church is allowed to produce a president. He spoke with RCR Myean County correspondent Edwin Keto. And out of Liberia now, opposition members of parliament in Ghana have fiercely condemned the suspension of the country's Chief Justice, accusing President John Mahama of trying to park the course with justices who are sympathetic to the governing party, the NDC. Gertrude Tokono was removed from her post on Wednesday, the first time a Chief Justice had been suspended in the country's history. The action was taken after 3 petitions which made allegations against Mrs. Tokono were filed. The content of the petition has not been made public, and Ms. Cotonou is yet to comment openly on the matter. Mahama's supporters have backed the move as a long overdue move to clean up the judiciary, but it was condemned by the opposition as nothing short of a bizarre judicial coup. That's a bizarre judicial coup, a reckless abuse of executive power in a direct assault on the independence of Ghana's judiciary, the MPs said in a statement. On Tuesday, a statement from the presidency said the Chief Justice was asked to step aside so that the allegations against her could be investigated. Since the suspension was announced, 2 more petitions have been filed against Mrs. Tokonou. Former Attorney General Godfred Yabo Dame told the BBC he thought the suspension was a complete charade, the biggest assault on the judiciary in the nation's history. That's RCR News Bulletin. Is back to Marka Davis.
Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV.
YouTube, True FM, 96.1.
What's the meaning of the black barrier?
The black barrier is to tell Joseph Bakala, if you don't organize yourself in your grateful manner, we'll keep your later Liberia.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
News, my name is Hansen the Represent. Welcome to News and Analysis, 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world.
Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited.
How is life after the presidency?
But before the presidency, the same life, that's what you see. I live a different life. You know, when I was not president, this life, that's what I live, you know, with my family and
I have a lot of interest in the health sector, the educational sector, and the agriculture sector. Roads, connecting roads in this country.
We are calling international community to come to
Well, thanks to Naketa Roberts for bringing us the news bulletin tonight. It is a regular feature here on News Desk. If you're just joining us, one of the top stories we are following tonight: Liberia joins the race to host the headquarters of West Africa Health Organization (WAHO), as Foreign Ministry discloses the arrival of technical delegation this Thursday. The Supreme Court has granted a bit of information filed by embattled House Speaker Fonate Kopa, recognizing him as the legitimate Speaker of the House of Representatives, rendering the majority bloc sitting illegal. The court on Wednesday ruled that despite Councillor Kofa as the sitting speaker lacking the numbers to conduct business, that does not give the deputy speaker or any representative the right to preside over the section. The Supreme Court, according to RCR judicial correspondent, mandated the majority to operate in accordance with its interpretations of Articles 33 and 49 of the 1986 Constitution. But in a dissenting opinion, Associate Justice Yamin Gbese disagreed with his colleagues, citing several mishaps on his colleagues' opinion. For his part, embattled House Speaker Fonate Kopa has accepted the Supreme Court's ruling in the stalemate at the House of Representatives. Speaking in a press conference Wednesday, minutes after the court's ruling granting his bit of information, rendering the sitting of the majority bloc illegal, Speaker Kopa called on members of the bloc to join them in ending the stalemate at the legislature. Yes, in spite of that, embattled House Speaker Fonate Kopa there calling for reconciliation following the ruling by the Supreme Court. On the contrary, the majority bloc of the House of Representatives has rejected the Supreme Court ruling that declared Councillor Kopa as Speaker of the House, insisting that Roger Kun remains the legitimate Speaker. In a statement issued hours after the Supreme Court's ruling, signed by Representative Roger Kun, the court's judgment and atrocious and audacious violation of the separation of power doctrine. The majority bloc maintained that Speaker Kopa was removed as a resolution signed by 50 lawmakers above the required two-thirds, which is 49. The House maintained that Kopa's removal was due to corruption, conflict of interest, and mismanagement, and followed due process. The majority members, according to the statement, would not recognize Kopa and will continue legislative business uninterrupted, stating that under no circumstance shall plenary allow Kopa to preside. Representative Samakoga has taken a slight lead in the Nimba County senatorial by-election after the second preliminary results released by the National Elections Commission on late Wednesday. The National Elections Commission said the results covered 314 polling places of the total of 736, constituting 42.66%. NDC chairperson Deviata Brown-Lassana disclosed that of the results released so far, independent candidate Edith Gonglowe has obtained 22,460 votes, constituting 43.80%, while Representative Samuel Koga of the Movement for Democracy and Reconstruction has 22,588 votes, constituting 44.05%, showing a vote difference of 128 in favor of Koga. She spoke late Wednesday when she released the second batch of provisional results in Nimba.
Pleased to report that all of the 736 polling places in Nimba County have reported records of account to our magisterial offices in Sanikule and Tapita. Tallying is ongoing. Let me now read out the second preliminary results in the senatorial by-election from the tallied centers at the NEC magisterial offices in Tapita, Lower Nimba, and Sanikule, Upper Nimba. 314 polling places of a total of 736 polling places, constituting 42.66%. Candidates: Toba T. 1K Fanku, Independent. Votes obtained 514, constituting 1%. B. Nat Leon, votes obtained 2,610, constituting 5.09%. Eden Lamino Wongo, Independent. Votes obtained 22,460, constituting 43.80%. George Patterson ADML, votes obtained 452, constituting 0.88%. Samuel Gombe MDR, votes obtained 22,588, constituting 44.05%. Richard Martin Dingman, votes obtained 650, constituting 1.27%. And Torgbean Independent, votes obtained 2,003, constituting 3.91%. Total votes 51,277, constituting 100%. Total invalid votes 1,214. Total votes 52,491. These were the results, preliminary results from the voting process. Again, this mechanism would like to thank the people of Nimba County for the peaceful manner in which they continue to conduct themselves since the successful conduct of the senatorial by-election.
Madam Deviata Brown-Lassana is the chairperson of the National Elections Commission there, releasing the second batch of preliminary results from the Tuesday senatorial by-election in Nimba County. Just before the pronouncement of the second batch of results, the campaign team of Edith Gonglowe claimed they are in commanding lead in the county. According to the team, preliminary results and data collected from various polling places indicate a strong lead for their candidate. Campaign chairman Emmanuel Yato told a press conference on Wednesday that approximately 85% of the tallied results placed Madam Edith Gonglowe in a commanding position to win the election.
Show that they will not be intimidated, and show that into the chance we are waiting for the next solution, but the facts are the facts. As of today, most of the 90% of the township in our possession was on visited banks. You can take the West of the bank. Here, the department that will give us each polling center. We were confident that our polling centers have been targeted with actual sheets
In the ceremony, where there were a lot of participation, the turnout was as good as it's always been. But even though they actually counted all the participants, we have one to six in the upper portion. The lower portion because they have no.
Well, he is the campaign chairman for independent candidate Madam Edith Gonglowe in the Nimba by-election. This pronouncement saw huge celebration in her camp, but Madam Gonglowe warned her supporters against premature celebration. The lone female candidate in the Nimba race told her supporters that while it is true their preliminary numbers are good, it is election, and until all of the numbers are in, they should reserve their celebrations. Madam Edith Gonglowe there warning her supporters against premature celebration ahead of the final results from the National Elections Commission. Well, we little past the half-hour mark. Let's now join Naomi Tapia for sports.
Football Federation National Lottery League season will continue this Thursday with Axe Sisters to taking on the Watanga Girls at 2:30 p.m. at SKD Sports Complex in Painesville. United Sisters will welcome SRCM at 2:30 p.m. in the day's second encounter, while Destiny 3 will at the Pussy Kickball Club 4:10 p.m. In continuation of the Liberia Football Federation National Lottery League second division contest. At 5 p.m., States will welcome Supreme Football Club at the same venue. Last year's Wimbledon Championships delivered a record spot prize of nearly 50 million euros for British tennis. The World Tennis Association received 49.58 million euros last year on agreement which allowed for England to pass 90% expenses to the governing body each year. Championships, the confident delivered the record success for the LTA, the year report says. The LERTC's financial statement for the year to July 2024 also reveals a slightly increased profits of the whole 3.2 million euros and which rose to 206.507 million euros. That money has doubled in the past 10 years. For players, they have been agitating for the leadership of revenue directed by conference claims. Last month, the top 29 women's players were asking for more funds on the national open attention from Wimbledon and the UK Open. Marka feels it is unlikely he will play for Manchester United again on a Robin Amorim, but will not be rushed into making a decision about his future.
Rashford scored his fourth goal since joining Aston Villa on loan in February during their 2-1 loss at Manchester City on Tuesday. The striker's loan deal at Villa Park expires at the end of the season, but while his United contract is due to run until 2028, and it is not completely out of the question Rashford might return. Sources close to the player do not see an obvious way back into the Old Trafford fold. Rashford was exiled by Myean from the first team in December, and aside from the home defeat at Newcastle on 2nd December, and he was an unused substitute. Did not pick him in his matchday squad again. In the wake of the Villa move, Myean said, "I couldn't get Marcus to see the way you are supposed to play football and to train the way I see it. It means United will have to decide whether to sell the 27-year-old or let him move away from the club on another loan deal this summer, as United and Myean are trying to juggle their finances in order to reshape a squad so it fits with the former Sporting boss' preferred style of play. Having clarity over one of the most highly paid players will be beneficial. And finally, the Rangers have confirmed for the first time that they are in negotiations with American investors, including the San Francisco 49ers, about a possible takeover of the club. Reports of interest first surfaced earlier this year, but the Eagles club said that productive conversations are ongoing. In a joint statement, Rangers also added that the potential investors are looking for a controlling stake. Neither party have mentioned a timeline for any deal to be concluded. The sources close to negotiations previously said a deal was expected to be completed between April and June. The statement said Rangers and its existing controlling shareholders are in productive conversations with the two lead members of the consortium, Andrew Kavanagh and 49ers Enterprises Global Football Group, about the potential for the consortium to acquire control of the club and to inject additional capital. That's often a source text.
Now, Tapia was posted on News Dex Direct, the feature on the news program. The renowned land dealer in Carisburg, rural Masrado County, Ralph Pay, has denied his involvement in the recent shooting incident involving Police Chief Inspector Sam Walker in the New Israel community, Painesville. It can be recalled Ralph Pay and several others were declared persons of interest by the Liberia National Police over an alleged attack on Inspector Sam Walker, who sustained while responding to a land dispute in Carisburg. Responding to the police action on Wednesday in Carisburg City, Pay refuted his involvement, stating that he was not present during the incident.
It was that day I was at my residence in Marjorie, where I was, and having to see my name surfacing and my photo surfacing Sunday night on the police information line. So that prompted me, and as a peaceful citizen, and without violence, saying we're honestly there, and then allow my repetition, my character that I built for all years. The times were not about such a thing. I had to define of whether I took place where the damages of car happened there, where just as a group of and surface and the future of surface and the other version of my story and that kind of thing. Where according to the Facebook and sometimes tackle and tackle and not in live again, but most of them were sharing the country he also gave me another name, Marjorie, commission, commission. Where is it that I heard from the same person that was imagine which I will implicate me in the person the case. So easily talking in muscle where he stands to implicate him.
He is a renowned land dealer in Carisburg, rural Macerado County. Ralph there denying his involvement in recent shooting involving Chief Police Inspector Sam Walker in New Israel, Painesville. A Liberian clergyman and politician has described attempt to exclude Christians from the body politics of Liberia as a national mistake, expressing frustration over the act. The flag bearer of the Democratic People's Party of Liberia, David Cameron, said denying clergymen from ascending to the Liberian presidency has led the country into a downward trend. According to Cameron, Liberia, under a theocratic leadership headed by the late President William Aratoba, became a nation of democratic icon and caused many African countries to muster the courage for renewed vigor in the achievement of democracy and good governance.
It's a mistake. Not forgetting your history. The last time this country ran well, there was a pastor who ran this country, William Albert Talbot Jr., the Reverend. So God gave this country back to the church. God gave this country back to us, the Reverend. We established this country. We signed the Declaration of Independence in the Providence Baptist Church. Established the country, you have discussing the country in Samuel Society and Jesus was upon the church. We didn't kill Jesus because he was a churchman. We killed Jesus because that he was he was and so the church was so we follow the process here in the politics in the inside politics. I follow Jesus, I don't follow the church. The Jesus that I know in the Bible was a politician. Jesus was the child of Tracy. I am the king of the Jews, and there was a king of the Jews sitting down.
He is Reverend David Cameron, the political leader of the Democratic People's Party of Liberia. They're speaking of our Lower Margibi County correspondent Edwin Ketor. Well, this is how we love to go home tonight on News Dex. But as we take leave of you, these are the top stories we followed. In the landmark ruling, Supreme Court recognizes Councillor Fonati Kofa as legitimate Speaker of the House of Representatives, but majority bloc rejects the court's judgment as violation of the separation of power. With that's 314 polling places out of 736, Representative Samba Koga takes a slight lead with just 128 vote difference in a tied race with Edith Gonglo, where as NDC releases second provisional results. Liberia joins race to host headquarters of the West Africa Health Organization, WOW, as Foreign Ministry discloses the arrival of technical delegation this Thursday. And out of Liberia, the opposition in Ghana condemns the suspension of the country's Chief Justice as abuse of power. Many thanks to all of you for your listening. Real thanks to those who follow us via Real TV on Facebook. Thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped to make this edition of News Dex a success. The news bulletin was read by Naketa Roberts. Naomi Tapia brought us post tonight. Cooper Sangai, Sarah Control, and coordinated the sounds. Thanks to our sponsors, Orange Liberia and Ecobank Liberia Limited. My name is Marka Davis. Good night.